I am genuinely worried about the next generation of little children and what they're being taught about abortion. We already know it's all over social media, but what I'm more concerned about is the parents. These pro-choice liberal parents that are teaching their kids about abortion. It's honestly terrifying to me, the way that they're framing killing babies to little children, because you know that they are already brainwashing them. When I am at pro-choice rallies, I see children just like this, holding signs that look just like this, and it's terrifying. There's dozens of them, and I always wonder, what did their parent tell them before they got out of the car? When their kid said, "What are we doing today? Why are we out here? Why are there people on the other side of the fence who have different signs than us?" I am so curious about what those conversations are. So I Googled how to teach your child about abortion. And the top 3 results were NPR, Today's Parents, and Parents.com. The little Google tagline under Today's Parents says, "The simple answer is when a person is pregnant and stops the pregnancy from continuing." Am I surprised? No. Does it still make me mad? Absolutely. And it should make you furious too, because this is genuinely how people are teaching their kids about abortion. So I was reading through the NPR article, and it was essentially a bunch of questions that people had submitted, and this person was explaining, I don't remember her credentials, and I don't think it really matters once you hear what her response is, of her talking about how she would respond. One person submitted the question, "The 9-year-old's just a little confused as to why people would want to get an abortion." Fair. And she doesn't understand what happens once they get it. Where does the baby go? Who takes it? It's a lot of questions that I didn't know how to answer. And they are very honest and genuine questions. When you see somebody is pregnant, you know there's a baby inside of their belly. And when they have an abortion, a logical first question is, where did that baby go and who took it out of the mom? Those are very honest questions coming from this 9-year-old. But the response is, I might think about talking about how some parents need to end the pregnancy and that it might be better and healthier and safer for the parent to end the pregnancy. AKA, instill in your child that abortion is something that saves women's lives, and then maybe they'll like it a little bit more. She continues by saying, "So I tend to use kind of terminology about the pregnancy and not refer so much around the baby, even though that can be where children go." If you have to lie and manipulate to your child that it's not a baby, even though we all know that it is, even though I guarantee you that child is thinking about every baby shower they've ever been to, every pregnant mother that they've ever seen, every one of their mom's friends that got pregnant, and what did they say? Yay, you're having a baby. And now all of a sudden their parent is telling them that it's not a baby. How confusing do you think that that is for a child? Incredibly. And how appalling is it that you have to use different terminology because you don't want to acknowledge it's a baby? Because how could you tell your 9-year-old daughter that abortion really kills a baby? That's probably something she wouldn't want to hear. And it's probably a conversation you wouldn't be very excited about, considering you would have to follow up with, "And I support that." So of course they have to use different terminology. And the movement does this across the board. You never see pro-choice people using real terms, talking about abortion for what it really is. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. But if you have to change the terminology because the reality makes you uncomfortable, maybe reconsider what side you're on. Maybe just for a second. Maybe put yourself in the shoes of a 9-year-old and think, does this sound like a good thing? Where does the baby go? Who does take away that baby? And maybe answer those questions honestly and see if you still like abortion. Another question that was submitted was, I want it to be age appropriate. I don't want it to get too into detail of what it actually is, but just knowing that she can choose if she wants to have a baby or not. So my advice would be, teach your kids about what leads to pregnancy. And if they don't want to have children, then think twice about the activities that they engage in, especially with The next question that was submitted was, we live in a very conservative area. All of my family that we live near is very religious, and they definitely have an opposing view to mine on the abortion issue. And I want her to learn how to be sensitive when talking about this stuff if it ever does come up. The response was, it's a great life lesson to teach children that it's okay to have whatever opinion that you have. There's no right or wrong. I think that it is an incredibly dangerous road to go down, teaching your kids that there's no right and wrong. Sorry if you think I'm crazy. We live in a world where things are good or things are bad. One of those bad things is killing human beings. So actually, it's not good to teach your children that there's no right or wrong. Have whatever opinion you want. No, teach them truth and tell them that abortion ends the life of an innocent human being, and that is always wrong. Even though people choose to do it, does not validate it as a good decision. We do not need to validate every single person's opinions and ideas and decisions, because guess what? Some things are bad, and killing babies is always bad. Okay. The next article that I wanted to reference is parents.com. This one was very interesting. It's a lot less like question and answer, and it's more, here's a bunch of blobby crap about how I raise my children. And it's all focused on consent. And it's very interesting that this is how they decide to jump into the abortion talk with their children, by starting with talking about consent, because I believe that consent is very, very, very important. Like when a woman says, I don't want to have an abortion, and then her boyfriend orders the pills online, because abortion advocates are literally doing whatever they can to make sure that these deadly pills are accessible to anyone, even abusers, and then they drug her and force her to kill her baby. I would say that that is a violation of consent, right? But weirdly enough, that's not in this article. Instead, the consent that they're talking about is asking your 2-year-old if she wants her diaper to be changed. Yeah, that's right. That's how she's starting to teach her child about abortion. I'm not kidding. These people are crazy. Imagine asking your 2-year-old if they want their diaper changed. If they say no, then what? Do you just wait until they change their mind? Do you wait until there's just poop gushing out of their pants and getting everywhere? And then you ask again and they still say no? What are you gonna do then? Probably change their diaper, because 2-year-olds don't know what they want and don't know what they need. Like when you say, are you hungry? And they scream and cry because they're so hungry that they don't want to eat anymore. Do you not feed your child? No, because your 2-year-old doesn't know what's best for them. Anyways, they continue on this idea of consent and why it is very important for women to consent to what is happening to their bodies and to have reproductive freedom. And it's all in this gushy bow of women and respecting people and not making decisions for other people. And what I find so insane is that they completely neglect the other person that already exists. Are people asking babies if they want to die? No, they aren't. And if babies could talk in the womb, I guarantee you they'd tell you, we don't want to be killed by abortion. We don't want vacuums to come into the place that we're supposed to be the safest and suck us out. But anyways, here is my idea. We start teaching kids truth. Of course, it should be age appropriate. I think the best thing that we can do to start teaching kids about the importance of life is making sure that they know their intrinsic value. By telling children, you grew in your mommy's belly and you were loved and you were beautiful and we were so excited and we got to hear your heartbeat and all those months that you were safely in mommy's belly and you were growing and becoming bigger and your hair started to grow and your fingernails started to grow. All of these things is a beautiful way to teach our children that there is something intrinsically value and precious about human life, even when it is in the womb. We should not be lying to children and telling them that it is not a baby. We should be telling them that it is a baby and it is incredibly valuable, as are they. And as they get older, you can continue that conversation to say, some people believe the lie that a baby is not a baby in the womb. And because of that, they choose something called abortion, which takes that baby's life away. And it is heartbreaking and it is tragic. And there are lots of people in the world who work every single day to educate people and to stop this from happening because babies' lives matter. And as they get older, you can continue that conversation to talk about the effects of abortion on women, on families, to talk about how abortion hurts women, how many women live their whole lives with regret of a decision they made, to talk about how important it is for women to be connected with resources, to have healing, to have support, about how we love these women and we love these children. And the pro-life movement exists to support families. The truth is very simple, and children will be able to grasp the very simple truth that life is valuable, abortion ends a human life, and so abortion is wrong. We don't need to confuse them, to lie to them, to manipulate. And if we have to resort to those things, it may be a very clear indicator that you're on the wrong side.